Bauer, is now in the White House, and he is President Obama's lawyer. So isn't that a nice? So it's an American story, and it's a Woodstock story. And without further ado, with great admiration and love, I'd like to introduce Maria.
This was a present from you. I want to thank you very much. I feel completely humbled. And what really pleased me very much is that she read my book again, because I'm not able to look at my book. I've been for years now. Because as you change, you look at it and then you think of other things you should have written, or things you really don't like the way you read it. So anyway, I think it's been over 10 years that I put the book away and didn't want to see it. And meanwhile, put another one that gave up on it. Anyway, I think it's wonderful. It gave me a beautiful introduction. And I kind of feel humbled that you took the time now with your enormous success. That I'm sure keeps you busy with all the congratulations that must come in, that you took the time for me to do that. I think you said so much today, because I just hear everything. I couldn't let them know that it was true, that my interest, ever since I was a teenager, was literature and languages, which was quite unusual in those days. My sisters never went to university because it just wasn't done in Central Europe so long ago. I enrolled at Prague's Charles University. I had very ambitious projects for an academic career, but only after 1.5 years of study at Charles University in Prague, on the day the Germans marched into Prague, all my plans had become irrelevant. My future was determined not by me or my family, but by world events, without a slight input from us. And that led to constant changes, adjustments, challenges, until my husband, after a rather tense, busy career in radio and later in the Foreign Service, retired. And that now I was able to pause and wonder whether the time had come when I could do what I always wanted to do. And I knew what I wanted to do. By then I had aged past the half-century mark, and I felt the need to think back at my strange life, to relive my life's experiences, and undertake that often painful, but also at times exhilarating journey into the past, and start writing it down so as not to forget any of it. By then, the idea of publishing never entered my mind, never even occurred to me. But at the time my first grandchild, Benjamin, was born, and I thought I will write it for him, because children get to the point where they want to know a little more about their roots, and also I thought it wouldn't hurt him to know what it meant to go through these terrible times. But writing this book proved to be much harder than I had thought, for several reasons. First of all, because I didn't write in my own language. I was raised with German and Czech at the same time, and then I went to French French lycée in Prague. It was a national school, paid half by the French and half by the Czech government, a wonderful school. But I didn't learn English until I was later in my teens. And to write a book in a language that you don't know, and even after living in the States for 20 years, I just couldn't write a word without my thesaurus. It had to be right there, my dictionaries, because I would think of a word that was beautiful and it would just fit exactly to what I was trying to say. But I had to look it up because I wasn't quite sure that it was what I wanted to say, and very often it wasn't. So then I was interested in what other sort of new writers, some were very good writers, what their thoughts about writing was, what their difficulties was. I think they were all Americans. And so I joined 2 writers' clubs. In winter I lived in Washington, and there we had a writers' club for service wives who lived in various parts in the world, and that was a bond that combined us. At summers that were much longer, I joined a Woodstock writing club, which was, I must admit, much more interesting. Because there they were, we foreign service wives had about the same experiences, but Woodstock, the members, were all totally varied. I mean, they came from all kinds of strata, education. I was the one, I think, who was probably the least educated because I never got a degree. And that was something that bothered me my whole life. I thought that if I only had been able to finish college, I would have written a better book. So, but all these colleagues of mine, we of course all had the same interest. And we met up in Berkeley in a barn where there was paint all over the places where the artists painted. And there were bats all over our heads and the bench. And the whole thing was, not a wonderful place, but then also we took turns with Peter White that let us use his new room, which was very exciting. And by that time, the Pattersons were there, and they lived with Angelus, and we could use their room. So every Wednesday afternoon, I couldn't wait, up to Radcliffe, and joining those friends who talked about all kinds of topics, experiences, and so on. This for the first time I met Dale, because whom I read every one of her books, and always made notes about the things, the way she expressed things. And I had no idea that she was a Woodstock, that I had no idea where she was. And gave a beautiful speech telling us, young writers, what to do and mainly what not to do, which was very helpful. So I started, and the honest exchange of ideas and many of opinions of each other's work was extremely useful to all of us. And they were so encouraging to me that I really dared to start thinking about publishing. And I got an agent. They got me an agent who was a New York agent who seemed to like very much my book. And so he didn't sell it, but because there was a string of rejections. And there were some strange rejections from him. They all said, memoirs don't sell. In those times, memoirs were not very popular because they didn't sell as well as fiction did. And one of the complimentary letters to my agent suggested, what I thought was rather strange, that Mrs. Bauer should turn her book into fiction so that she could exaggerate the drama of her and be free to include some explicit sexual indiscretion.